Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're gonna be talking about Hero of Remnant. So yeah, let's begin. But before we actually start the video, I won't be making a second video today because, well, I'm gonna be doing some concept art for my new what if that I'm planning to make. Which, if you don't know, I made a short about. And yeah, I'm gonna be making like the riggings for for Izuku, also known as, let me just check the name again, also known as HMS Nag, or Nalg Fari, which I based it off like a ship from Norse mythology. The reason why is because, well, you'll find out soon. Anyway, let's continue on with this episode, shall we, ladies and gents? So, from the last episode, we now currently see our boy Izuku now in the bed with our girl Weiss. Weiss is currently sleeping on the chest of Izuku as Izuku would start to wake up saying, God, why do I feel like something heavy on my chest? As he would look, below him where his chest is, as he would see Weiss. As Izuku would start to sweat a little bit saying, oh no, now I remember, he would say, as he would see Weiss starting to wake up, as she would say, oh, morning, Izuku, she would say, as her hair was let down almost messily around his chest, as he would look, look at her eyes, as her eyes would be half open, as she would say this, morning, she would say, in a happy tone, as he would say, Weiss, I should probably start making breakfast. So if you please excuse, as before he can actually get up, she would basically put him back down, or at least, push him back down, as she would say this, no, you're gonna be staying with me. It feels so much more nice. As Izuku would say this, but I need to make breakfast. We're gonna have class later. As she would say, no, a few more minutes. You feel so warm, she would say. As Izuku would start to sweat even more, thinking, why is this happening to me? Nearby, we'll also currently see a somewhat more jealous Blake, as she would say this to herself. Why can't it be me instead, she would say, as she's currently, scratching her arms a little bit, while she's also having one of her other arms. Yeah. You can probably guess from my perverted, perverted, god damn it. As we will currently see, or at least go back to Izuku, as we would now see Izuku as he's feeling like he's being, touched. More specifically, near his chest area, she would say this. I always wanted this, Izuku. Do you remember what my father was like? As he would say this. Yeah, I know. I know that he was prideful and a terrible father. In fact, he basically told you to basically regard everybody as just lower than you. But I helped you, or at least somewhat helped you at least. And she would say this. Yeah, but for now, let's just forget about that. Forget about me being the heiress to this company. Just stay with me. As she would laugh a little bit, as he would say, fine. As while they were also doing that, we would also see Yang laughing, or at least giggling, as she would say, God dang it, why is it so cute? But also, why do I kind of feel jealous? She would say to herself, as she would start to think a little bit, as she would say, yeah, why do I feel kind of whatever. I mean, I kind of feel, happy for them considering that they're gonna get married. But at the same time, as we would go back to Izuku once again, as Weiss would say this. Anyway, Izuku, as he would look towards her, as he would say, yeah, Weiss? As she would, just like look at him, straight in the eyes, now fully awake, or at least somewhat awake, as she would say this. I want you to stay by my side, always. And when I become the heir, and when I become the head of the Shinitas company, will you help me reform it? As he would say this. Sure, I'll try my best. Even if it means, well, sacrificing myself. As she would say this. Don't do that. I wouldn't want you to just die or anything. I just want you to stay by my side. After all, we are meant to be married. And I wouldn't want my husband to be hurt anyway. As he would say this. Right. So, Weiss, let's just continue on sleeping, I guess. You did say that you want to, sleep around still. As you would say this. Right. After saying that, both of them would fall asleep once again. And so we would, wait for a few hours as it's finally morning. So we would move towards the morning as we currently see Izuku cooking up breakfast. As he's currently making like a simple Japanese, or should I say, Australian type, breakfast for them. As he would say this. Oh, morning guys, he would say. As we would also see, Weiss in the counter, as she would say, oh, hi there, she would say. As she would say it with a happy tone, but mostly towards the two of them, specifically both Ruby and Yang. But for Blake, well, let's just say it was a much more colder one. As she would say, oh, hey Blake, she would say. As she would say this. Weiss, she would say. As after saying that, Izuku would say, hey, both of you, can you please stop that? As she would say this. Oh, right, Izuku, she would say. As, Blake would look towards him, as she would smile, as he would say this. Anyway, guys, here's breakfast, he would say. As he would give them some fried rice, and, and some leftover, like, meat. Let's just say it's like beef or something, as they would basically start eating. After eating breakfast, they would start going towards, sports class. So, after a while, it was just like, it's almost finally time for the, combat class. But for some reason, both Blake and Weiss would be gone, or just disappear. As when Izuku noticed that, he would say, where are they? He would say to himself. Hey, Yang? As he would look towards Yang. As, Yang would say, oh, Izuku. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe they gone to the bathroom? As he would say this. I guess you're right, but let's just, get to combat class now. So, as after that, we would go to the perspective of Blake and Weiss. So, we would now currently see both Blake and, Weiss in a clearing, or at least, more like outside of class, as she would say this. So, I wanted to ask you, Weiss, she would say with an angry tone. Why do you disrespect Faunus? She would say. As, our girl Weiss would say, isn't it obvious, Blake? They're nothing more than animals and scoundrels, she would say. After what they did to me, she would say. As she would basically lift off her, a piece of her hair, or at least her bangs, showing off a pretty large scar. As she would say this. Did you see? Did you see that? Ever since the White Fang has formed, they basically ruined my life. Made my father so stressed out that he basically avoided me. Not only that, friends, family, board members, They have been killed, destroyed, and even humiliated by them. Do you seriously think that I would actually trust them after all they've done, she would say, as Blake would say this. But they're just misunderstood. They don't know what they're doing. And besides, if they were to do all those things, then, as she would say, then why do you want to protect them? Are you some sort of sympathizer to those scoundrels? As she would scream out, as Blake would say, maybe because I'm one of them, she would say. Maybe because we wouldn't want to. Wait for a second. What the fuck was that noise? Sorry about that. Must have been the neighbors. As she would say, maybe because we're done being pushed around, she would say. After realizing what she said, she would say, she would basically, be surprised after saying that, as, not Yang, I meant Weiss would say, wait, we're done? Don't tell me that you're... As after saying that, Blake would run away as she would basically get out of there. As she would say, so, she is one of them, she would say, kind of angered, as she would start, walking out of there, saying to herself, so, my teammate was a damn animal, she would say. And so, we would go back to Blake, as she would say, why did I say that, and, oh no, what is Izuku going to think of me? Why is he going to... As she would remember what Izuku said, as we would go flashback, as we would currently see Izuku after breakfast earlier, as Blake would come up to him, as she would say, hey, Izuku? As Izuku would say this, oh, hey Blake, what is it? As she would say this, how do you feel about furnaces? I mean, last night you basically told Weiss about them, so, as he would say this, oh, honestly, I just think of them as just, like us, humans. I mean, they do have different features, but, like me, I basically have my own features as well. As she would say, wait, really? As you'd say, yeah, my semblance, the commandments, one of them is called, not reticence, wait for a second, is called repose, he would say. As she would say, really? What does it do? As he would say this, well, it gives me the ability to use a spear that is able to transform into, wait for a second, my nose, my spear, it's called Basquias. It allows me to use 10 forms of it. And if you're wondering what do I mean that I'm, well, about my repose, I guess I can show you, he would say. And she would say, really? Then, what do you mean by, as he would activate repose. As, after doing so, he would reveal his wings, or more specifically, the fairy wings. Imagine it like this wing over here. Not the other one over there. Just that one. The one that looks like a fairy wing. After doing so, he would say, yeah. As he would fly down. As he would say, well, these wings don't actually do anything. I actually levitate when I use them. So it's pretty much useless, but people think that I'm some sort of like, butterfly faunus because of it. As she would say, whoa, they look kind of beautiful, she would say. As he would say this. Aw, thank you. Anyway, let's just get ready for school now. Anyway, see you later. As after saying that, he would start leaving. As Blake would say this. Yeah, wait for me. After that, we would go back to the present. As she would be outside, as she would say this. Izuku. I should probably leave. The voice is probably telling them already. And so, she would start to leave. as she would say this to herself. Izuku, I hope we see each other again. And so, this is where we're gonna be ending off this episode. So yeah, bye-bye!